Topic for today is a quite a hot one, right? So yesterday we saw emotional intelligence. We are looking at investor intelligence today. Panelists are today are Navyog, Mohnot, Anupam, Thareja, and Viiveck, Verma. Welcome all of you. And thank you so much for joining me today in this conversation.
Very large fan of designing your life as a concept, and have thought about that a lot. And this is some great work done at Stanford on designing your life. What's your most important design project? It's your life. But then there's also your venture, and as leaders, what are we really doing as leaders? We're really doing what a designer or a design thinking mindset should be doing, which is, a leader listens to various stakeholders. A leader will reflect, will empathize, will have certain hypotheses, will have a bias for action, will test and validate those hypotheses, and will build without knowing, build in the face of great ambiguity, which is really what designers do.
The transition from small to, or very small to small, small to medium, medium to large, is actually probabilistically a very low journey. There is a lot of mortality in that journey. And I'm not going to get into reasons. There are various reasons for it. But we realize that one of them is large families. Of course, imagine the complexity when four of us can't agree on many things. Imagine family members, which through generations become, 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s. How do they have a commonality of purpose? And needless to say that family issues start affecting business, and business issues start affecting families. And disruption in one of them creates a disruption. So what we did was, our initiative was that, can we, as a group, make India strong by developing, I wouldn't even say family-run business, by developing a particular size business to the next level.
Looking at the startups, I think one thing I completely agree with what Anupam said is that it's largely about the founders or the founding team. So I kind of expand that a little beyond just the founders. Quite often, the first few employees, some of the leadership team that they get, I think they play a very, very critical role. So as an investor, I think that is even in my list, in my checklist, that is kind of something that occupies a large space. More about what do I need to do in my business to get a higher valuation much faster. So if that means I have to get a large customer base, then let me put a lot of money out and get customer base. And they don't understand the lifetime value of the customer, what's the cost of acquisition, what's the ratio of these things that's working, how does it look at it from the long-term perspective, and correlating that back to what Anupam was saying. The investors are going to be very wary of that, because this is a startup where I can see the first few years, but I don't see the years later on.
We think is an input, but actually passion is an output of a process or of a journey. And so you don't, my personal belief is that people are passionate about stuff where over a period of time they are good at, and it's meaningful, and unless you're good at it and you feel engaged, you're not going to be passionate.
Let's call so passion is rather than taking a object or an activity and calling it passion, why can't passion be an attitude, right? That changes everything, right? It's not what you do, is whatever you do well.
Yeah.
That to me is passion, right?
The audacity that you need in the early phases, the unstructuredness, the ability to get out of the building and just do stuff, is very different than later stages where there's a premium on predictability. You need the adults in the room. You need the metrics, where optimization becomes more important. And now the dichotomy is that even as companies scale, they need one part of them needs to still be this innovative and all over the place, adventuristic approach. But then the incentives have changed, and you need to meet numbers, and you need to be predictable, and you're focused on optimizing all the time rather than innovating. So yeah, corporate venture capital is just exploding. Corporations are trying to invest a lot into startups. So that's just one vehicle or one mechanism. There are many, but as you scale, you do need the adults in the room.
Sudhindra, one more
one-liner.
One more myth. This thing that maturity is overrated.
Oh God, that's a lot of things that have been overrated have been exposed today. So this is like a one-of-a-kind, session today.
Let me add to the fun. There are two phrases: adult youth and young adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, I don't think so. Nobody has the luxury of saying, I have reached a size. Now, all I need to do, Navyog, I'm going to disagree with you. All I need to do is optimization. Just doesn't work. You have to run 1 kilometer. You have to run 10 100-meter dashes.
Absolutely.
That's how it's.
No. I totally agree. And I'm saying that the past and the incentives were for optimization, but the world's clearly changed. So you need to do both.
Yeah, in fact, to all the people in the room, I will say I've heard a lot of these young guys come to me throughout. So in my sessions and say, I have this great idea. Once I do that, once you give me money to do that, you will see how hard I will work. And I look at him and say, oh, really? Every guy in every job. So first principle, the guy who doesn't take risk has no right to take a decision.